Yeah, good luck.
Uh, I do think adding depth is really good for the practice behind closed doors to the basketball team because it makes it's iron sharpens anybody.
Yeah, good point.
And then
Well, they're good. Hey, they are hot. The Giants and the Reds are the two hottest teams in baseball, and who would have guessed that before the year
and it's
started?
all because of
That's
so.
exactly right.
But you guys have
Exactly
a
right.
wonderful weekend, and I really want that statue. Thank you, guys.
Well, you
Thank you
might have to build that himself.
thank you to deplorable guy. Had the first name right, just couldn't remember the second name. Trey Wade. Trey Wade was the name I was trying to think of. From our Asher Records Service Company live feed feedback, Snoring Bob checks in. Opening monologue, yawn, snore, grumble, Mighty Mouse, Musselman took a tumble. Guys, how unacceptable is it to only make the Sweet 16 with 3 NBA draft picks? Arkansas led the country, along with UCLA, with three picks, but lost when it mattered the most. Also have no confidence in this football program. Sam Colbert Pittman's days are numbered 4 and 8 is what he will be. Snore, bore, snore, yawn, grumble. Time for Pittman to get humble. Thanks for nothing, Jimmy Sexton. Boy, snoring Bob. Are
Maybe
you having
Bob needs
nightmares?
maybe Bob needs to snore for like 20 years. Yeah, like
Boy, he is snoring out loud.
yeah, he is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all of our witnesses here today. Mr. Armstrong, I want to follow up by trying to understand your answer to one of Senator Cruz's questions. And this is really a question, not a suggestion. Do I understand your position to be that there are two sexes, but there can be more than two genders?
I wouldn't even say two, and we've got Dr. Lopez here as well, but there's also a definition of intersex. I think that often in these conversations we're conflating sex and gender, and I do want to affirm here that trans women are women. That is their gender.
But I'm trying to understand. Do you make a distinction between sex and gender?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Explain that. Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex as well that I want to acknowledge. But sex is assigned to birth.
I'm just trying to understand. I'm thoroughly confused. So you're born. I'm talking about biology. Male, female, and what else?
I believe that intersex is also acknowledged. Again, I'm not a doctor here. What I can
and what is intersex?
Is that there's a difference between sex and gender, and I think in these conversations we're conflating the two.
Well, but I'm going to start with sex. Okay, there's male, there's female. When a baby's born, before the baby has had time to even have a sense of self. There's male, female, and intersex. There's a third.
I believe that is true, but I would defer to Dr. Lopez as I'm not a physician.
Okay. And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive, and the definitions are always growing.
Drive Time Sports and the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaeffer. I'm Randy Rainwater today from Saracens Casino in Pine Bluff. By the way, on my way to Pine Bluff, I had to pass by a couple of double B's. I needed gas. What did I do? Stop and got gas. Took the time to go inside, pick up a few snacks and other drinks that I thought I might need today. But the hospitality here at the Saracen has been outstanding. So I'll just kind of keep those on standby, so to speak. But one thing I've not seen here at Saracens is any of the Lay's or Doritos that I can find at Double B's, particularly at this great price, such as the Lay's potato chips, 2 for $4.20, 2 bags for $4.20. And I'm sure they've got it somewhere, but if I need a little pick me up, how about Red Bull, 16 ounce, 2 for $7.50. That's just some of the specials you're going to find at your local Double B's. By the way, 32 locations across our great state, and a lot of great food options. Most have delis that they have inside the store, so check it out for yourself. It's Double B's, where you gas it, grab it, and go. Make it Double B's. Okay. Let's see, from our Asher Record Service Company live fan feedback. Smiling Donkey says,
Smiling Donkey.
Hey, Rick,
Yeah.
the question was, who will score the most points in the NBA
Yeah.
out of those 4 players? And Rick's answer was, well, I don't know if any of them will.
Well, I did
One of
answer
them will
that.
have the most points of the 4, LOL.
Yeah. Okay, so one of them will score the most points. I don't know who will score the most points, but I'm not sure any of them are going to be big scorers in the NBA. We don't know if Ricky Council will even play much in the NBA. I don't quite understand the two-way contract. The way I read it was, it means you can play as many as 50 games with your NBA team. What does that mean? Does that mean if you are so good in the preseason that you're the best, you're one of the 12 best players, you still can't play more than 50 games with your team? I don't know. I don't understand that. But, you know, he may never play in the NBA. We don't know. Walsh is not a big-time scorer. I don't know that he's going to set any scoring records in the NBA. Nick Smith Jr., obviously, when he came to Arkansas, was the most celebrated prolific scorer coming into on campus, but had like 3 or 4 really big games, and other than that, didn't. So will he score a lot in the NBA? I don't know. He's also playing with a bad team, the Charlotte Hornets. So maybe he'll get a better chance because he's playing with Charlotte. And then Anthony Black is playing, is not a prolific scorer either. So I don't know that any of those guys are going to be guys you look at and say, well, they're going to score 15 points a game in the NBA. I don't know that. Whereas Moody, when he got drafted, and I don't know if he'll eventually get there, but he's played a significant role in some of the Warriors' wins. And you can look at other players in the past coming out of Arkansas and thought, well, they would score some points. But Randy, do you think any of those 4, and I hope I'm wrong, but do you think any of those 4 are going to be 15-point-a-game scorers in the NBA?
I think Nick's got an excellent chance. I really do. His leg it's got to get right. That's just as simple as I can say it, because I think that, in fact, let's talk with Bart. I asked Bart Reed, Pure Sweat Basketball Skills, to check with Nick, and if you can, Bart, share as much of the conversation or of the multiple conversations. Please share as much as you can.
Yeah, so, it was a big night, and obviously I think there's some expectations that, Nick, we saw him anywhere from in the last year and a half, guys, from second to third to coming into this to 12, 14, and then, I think Charlotte got the steal, or certainly one of the steals of the draft at 27, because there's no doubt Nick Smith Jr. is a lot. So it's all, being drafted. It's just all about getting there. It's a huge accomplishment for a young man that in seventh grade was coming off the bench for his AAU summer team. So, happiness is certainly to be drafted. The whole goal, Randy, is to get to the NBA. I think once you get there, and Charlotte and Rick, I think Nick can push that 12 to 15 points in his first year, because they're going to ask him to play on the ball. And I think he's a natural scorer, so I think he's going to have the opportunities to get people a lot more than he did at Arkansas. So he's tickled to death. He went to Charlotte this morning and fulfilled some of his media obligations. He is currently at the airport, coming back for a much-anticipated long little break here, because it's an exhausting process and they're tired, but happy.
And I'd say, if you're drafted in the first round, that's a big deal no matter where. It's just that the expectations were so much lower than that. And I'm glad to hear he's excited about it. I know it's a major difference in finances, but it's still going to be well over $1 million a year, and that's more than most people make coming out of college.
27th pick was right at $1.9 million per year on the first 2 years, and they signed a 3-year contract and got about 2.7. Him commensurate to what I think they feel his value is. So he'll be around $2 million, I would think, a year for the first, a little bit more in the second, but a little bit less than what a lottery would be. But still, you're right. It's a lot of money. And the difference between a two-way, Rick, if you're NBA only gets so many two-way contracts. It's a very limited number. If you're contract, if you get called up from the G League, you get paid G League salary no matter where you're playing. If you're on a two-way contract, you get called from the G League to the NBA, you get the NBA base, which is the league minimum. So it's a lot more money, I would say.
Well, then Bart, let me ask you, because this is what I didn't understand. When I read that you could play as many as 50 games with your NBA team, what if Ricky Council goes to preseason camp and just knocks them out? And they say, you're on the team. Can he not play more than 50 games?
He's still roster. He can't. But he has to make the roster. So he has to make that spot. If he does not make that spot, he's limited to that number, that 50 games.
Okay, I see. Okay, so if he goes down to the G League and the first week averages 50 points a game, they can call him up at some point, but he still can't play more than 50 games.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And if he's on a two-way, he would get paid the NBA league minimum for those 50 games, which is a big jump.
Oh, yeah. The minimum's about 800,000, isn't it? Something like that.
I think it's closer to 900 plus.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
I can't remember the exact number. Bart, this seems to be the, I don't know what dollar you want to call it, $64,000 question. What was Nick able to provide to the NBA that says that knee is right? That knee is 100%. That seems to me to be the issue as much as what might be considered the erratic play that he had at Arkansas when he came back the final time. Do you know what is the situation with his knee? He still seems very.
Yep. So, what I can tell you is it was a meniscus tear that we can talk about. He had a meniscus tear that happened very when he got and
was it
a meniscus. Well, no, he was.
Okay.
The original injury happened on campus when they first reported. And with the meniscus, guys, so not to be overly scientific, it's a on the knee, but there's not there, so it's kind of a 50-50 shot. It fixes and repairs on itself, or it needs to be gone in and surgically repaired. So, you want me to hold, Randy?
I've got Trey coming up next. If I'd like for you to finish on if need be. Okay, hang on. That is Bart Reed, Pure Sweat Basketball Skills. Coming up next, Trey Biddy of hogsports.com, being brought to you by Asher Record Service Company. Hour number 2 at Drive Time Sports here on the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaeffer standing by in Northwest Arkansas. I'm Randy Rainwater today from Saracen's Casino in Pine Bluff.
Now to Trey Biddy, brought to you by Asher Wrecker Service, 501-562-2293. Family owned and operated since 1980. Asher Wrecker, dependable towing and vehicle recovery service. Ask for Asher.
Good afternoon, Trey.
Hey, guys.
Good afternoon, Trey. All right, we're going to finish up real quick with Bart Reed, Pure Sweat basketball skills. We were talking, Trey, right before the break about Nick Smith Jr. and that faulty knee of his. Come to find out, he had a meniscus tear, which can certainly slow you down. I'm guessing, Bart, this is going to provide, though, falling all the way to number 27. I'm guessing this is going to provide quite a inspiration for Nick to show people how wrong they were about him.
Absolutely. And so the Hornets have their own doctors that come in and they do a lot of examination. Nick is 100%. He is moving great. And the same thing, Randy, that drew him to come back at Arkansas after that hurt knee, that is the same thing that's going to give him a lot to push hard and remind these teams on a regular basis it was a mistake to pass him up. And certainly it's a chip shoulder that he relishes and looks forward to the opportunity. I think he will prove a lot of executives wrong in his first season.
You kind of teased on it but what do you think this actually may have cost Nick in terms of dollars by returning to Arkansas for those final, 17 games or whatever it was?
Yeah, $1.8 million in the first 2 years versus probably $3.2 million. And then, so it probably cost, look at it, anywhere between $8 and $12 million. If he's depending on what he signed, a 3-year, 4-year contract, but it costs him between that. Just like it.
Wow.
No.
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 By any means.
No, not by any means. All right, Bart, thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for being able to talk with Nick Smith and get Nick's feelings and thoughts. And certainly has gone through a lot over the last couple of days. I cannot imagine the worry. I doubt he slept much Wednesday night leading into Thursday's draft. I wouldn't have, at least, but we have to say congratulations to all those young men. Did anything about Trey where Anthony Black goes to number 6, Nick Smith, number 27, number 38, eventually to the Boston Celtics, Jordan Walsh, and then Ricky Council signs a 2-way contract with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not totally surprised by any. Obviously, Nick's fell farther than what I would have thought. I was looking at the rookie scale when Bart was on. By the way, Bart, again, from Sheridan. I'm from Sheridan. Sheridan Takeover on Drive Time Sports.
Legendary.
Yeah. So in 23, 24, what would you guys say Nick would have been drafted had, I don't know, maybe 5th? Is that what basically what he was being projected at before?
He'd been totally healthy. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I think number 5, somewhere in there.
So first year salary is $6.037 million, and second year $6.338 million, and then third year option $6.64, and then go down to the 27th pick. You're down to it's about 2.1, and then about 2.2, and then almost 2.3 million. So definitely cost a lot of money there by sliding like that, obviously, as you would expect. So that's quite a lot of money, maybe as much as 8 to I guess the third year is an option. So 8 to 12 million maybe.
But when you think about it, he's still going to be doing what he loves. He's going to make
Mhm.
$2 million a year to do it, which most guys 19 years old don't make salaries like that. And if he really is good at it after 3 years, he's going to get an enormous contract after that. So while we think, golly, we went all the way to 27, that's still pretty darn good for a 19-year-old.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just that, you know, most of the money you're going to make is in these, you know, next 10 years or so. If you're, you know, an NBA player, you're good enough to be in the NBA that long. I will say though, I mean, so he's going to make like, you know, about 2.1. I mean, it's really only about $1 million, you know.
After taxes. Yeah.
It's only about $1 million. Wow. Gosh.
Of course, you
I
got
don't
to,
know
you
how
got
he's going to make it on
to,
that.
I don't know what the base is in Orlando. You know what their tax rate is, but I'm
Sorry.
guessing.
Well, they don't
you're
have state income tax in Florida, so that helps them a little bit.
helps a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Give
but
it a little bit.
property taxes are high. They got to build those roads somehow.
Yeah. So if you're making 6.1 or 6.6, then you're looking at, you know, what, $3 million going to taxes. And then if you want to spend any of it, you know, it costs 10 cents to spend $1. So I'm just trying to make it sound
Wow.
easier.
Gee, Trey.
I think
You're
I
making-
would decline all this money.
Trey, you're making being a millionaire sound pretty sad. Gee. Wow.
Yeah.
It'd be about my
Golly.
luck. You know, Trey, here at Saracen, they're giving away a Ford Mustang tomorrow night. And be my luck, I couldn't afford to pay the tax on it, you know. So I win it. Now I can't afford to pay the tax. Help me. But and I am guessing on every player, I would think they have insurance policies on them, injury insurance policies. Did they not?
Oh yeah. No question.
Yeah.
No question.
So
Yeah.
got to have a little bit of a safety net there. All right, let's talk to Tim. Tim, good afternoon. You got a question or comment for Trey?
Yes, I do. Hey, Trey, how you doing today?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
Good. Yesterday I come up with that question, the top 5 in SEC quarterback,
Yeah. Yes.
and I got to talk to my buddies today, and they seem to think that KJ's got a shot at the Heisman this year.
I mean, there's a lot of things that have to happen for that to happen.
Yeah.
But
Especially with the
I think that KJ can pull it together. I was listening to Rick and Randy yesterday afterwards, and new pieces. So I think he can pull them new pieces together and make it the way he needs it.
Arkansas is going to have to at least win the division, and go to the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
The two guys who finished first and second last year did not win their championship games. And TCU and USC. So he doesn't necessarily have to win it, but you know, just based on that kind of information, he at least needs to get there. He needs to put up really big numbers, both through the air and on the ground as well. And you know, can't miss any games really. I mean, we saw what happened to Tennessee quarterback last year. He was front runner, and then you know, even though Tennessee won 11 games, you know, even though he was clearing away the Heisman favorite when he got hurt. So can't get hurt. Going to have to put up bigger numbers than he put up last year. And he would have put up, you know, up 3,000 passing yards, about 700 something rushing yards, but maybe needed even better numbers than that to win the Heisman. And then you got to win. Bottom line, you got to be on a winning team.
Yeah. That's
Go ahead, Randy.
Because the quarterback is regarded as the ringleader, and so if if Arkansas wins say 11 games, and all of a sudden they're picked to win 6, and they get 11, and he has great numbers, that's the only way he can get in the race.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Heisman vote, and it's not I'm open to change, but my policy's always been you need to win your division if you're a quarterback, and I'm going to give you a Heisman vote. You need to win your division. And that's what kind of irks me about Tim Tebow winning, you know, back in 2007 is Florida finished third in the Eastern Division. Finished third in the Eastern Division, and he still won the Heisman Trophy. And I know he did a lot of great things statistically and everything, but still, to me, that's not winning enough to get a Heisman. So to me, you need to win your division if you're a quarterback. If you're a running back, we'll talk. I don't necessarily put the wins and losses so much on your shoulders, and that's also true with any other position aside from quarterback.
Quarterback then.
Jaden Daniels is getting a lot of love lately. It seems like everybody's kind of thinking that this guy is going to be the guy. I was filling out some stuff yesterday for our 24/7 Sports. I like Tennessee's new quarterback, Joe Milton. I think he's got a chance. I think that Tennessee's got a real chance at winning the Eastern Division. They get Georgia at home the second to last game. I think Tennessee's got a shot at it. So Milton, I'm not convinced that Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be. I think KJ Milton, Jaden Daniels, Will Rogers, in no particular order. And I'm not so sure who I would make the fifth guy right now. Probably whoever ends up starting for Alabama, maybe Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. But those four that I mentioned, I think are top four.
All right, guys. I appreciate y'all, and thanks for everything.
Thank you, Tim. Was the turnover, Trey? I probably should know the answer to this, but I don't. Was the turnover greater this past off season in the quarterback position, the SEC, than what it may have been the last couple of years? Because when Stetson Bennett came back last year, it seemed like there was a ton of comp. You mentioned Hendon Hooker, even though I don't think in the beginning of last season he was thought to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country, and then all of a sudden, or in the SEC, then all of a sudden he just blew up, and had not been for the knee injury, who knows what his final numbers might have been. But you had Rodgers, who was going to put up gaudy numbers down at Mississippi State just because the system. Now, I don't know if the new coach is going to maintain the air raid type of concept. If Rodgers,
I don't think so.
Yeah, if he'll get the kind of opportunities he's to throw the football as he has in times past. But Spencer Rattler's been inconsistent, even though I think he kind of came on at the end of last season, last regular season.
I might throw Rattler. I might throw Rattler into that top five. Actually, I forgot about him, and he gets a lot of hate, I guess, because he lost his starting job to Caleb Williams, who ended up winning the Heisman.
Won the Heisman,
yeah. And never mind that Rattler was, I think, 7-0 when he lost his starting job that season. But Rattler's a good quarterback overall. He does make some boneheaded mistakes, but for the most part, he's pretty consistent. I might throw him in that mix. He's again, he just catches a hard time because of losing that starting job and being forced to transfer after being ranked as the number one quarterback prospect the class before Caleb Williams.
And Kentucky, aren't they getting in a highly regarded transfer?
They have a transfer. I'm trying to think who else has transfer quarterbacks coming in. Ole Miss has, a couple other guys.
Oh my gosh, they got about 20
Oklahoma State, guy from LSU. Yeah. Looks like Texas A&M will be going with Connor Weigman, who played for him some last year. That's all I can think of off the top of my head right now.
I would think A&M riders are having a ball trying to figure out how much rope Jimbo Fisher is really going to give Bobby Petrino. But I got to believe Bobby, he had to have some things probably written on paper telling him what his role is actually going to be. How much authority will they actually give to Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator?
I mean, at the same time, this is a pretty good position for Bobby Petrino. He was Missouri State head coach. It's not like he was, and then at UNLV, he was offensive coordinator. It wasn't like he had another Power 5 job and has a bunch of leverage, at the same time. But If I'm Jimbo Fisher, I'd probably give him a lot of leeway, and it probably isn't going to matter. I mean, look at this stretch for Texas A&M. September 30th, they play Arkansas, then Alabama, then at Tennessee, then South Carolina, then at Ole Miss. And, I mean, after that stretch, guys, I mean, there's a possibility that, as we were talking about a little bit yesterday, that Jimbo gets fired on the tarmac. I mean, depending on how that stretch goes, and they'll pay the $77 million. And then you could see Bobby Petrino with a lot of leeway as interim head coach.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
They got Mississippi State, Alcorn's. What's ACU? Not sure what ACU is. Whoever
Abilene
ACU
Christian,
is,
maybe.
I don't know. And then they got LSU to wind it out. I think LSU has a chance to win. I think they have a chance to win the Western Division. If you get run into like an LSU team, that's already won the West or something, and kind of sitting back on their laurels and beat them, and Bobby Petrino goes 3-0 to finish things out, he might be a fan favorite to win the job.
Wow, how crazy would that be?
Abilene Christian. ACU is Abilene Christian. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they were
from
7-4 last year, so who knows?
From our Asher Record Service Company live fan feedback, Jim says concerning Spencer Rattler, did you know Rattler's dream school was Arkansas, but
that's not true.
Chad Morris never offered?
That's not true. He was from Arkansas. I think he was born there, but that's a complete exaggeration. Just an exaggeration. It's not true.
I don't know what this one means. Could Rick have? No, Nick. Okay, I can't read. Could Nick have an insurance policy? Yes, I think we've already decided that. I don't know about that one. Let's see. We asked that question, determined that we're thinking anywhere from $8 to $10 million or more. The question was, how much money did Nick Smith lose by coming to Arkansas?
It wasn't by coming to Arkansas.
No, it's wherever he would have gone. Yeah, right.
Yeah, if he'd have been injured at Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right. If he'd have been hurt wherever he'd gone,
Yeah.
Just curious how Snoring Bob and Navy Mike are related. LOL. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Luke and Fordyce says, if it will pull up, can't play in the playoffs on a two-way contract. Okay.
Oh, really? Wow. Now that'd be a bad deal, wouldn't it? What if you came up late and you just were one of their best players? Now, Moses Moody had a guaranteed contract, right? Because he played in the G League a little bit. So when they got to the playoffs,
number
he could
16
play.
draft pick.
Yeah, right. So he could play in the playoffs. I never heard of that deal. So what if you've only played in 30 games? You can't play in the playoffs? That's a bad deal.
I don't know enough about a two-way contract, so
Me either.
don't know.
We'll have to ask.
Let's try Ro.
Kevin that.
Ro, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports. You got a question or comment for Trey?
Yeah, let's get back to football. Trey, my football guy. We talked basketball. What's going on, fellas? I know the draft was last night. Hey, it's a cool guy. Trey, we had a big visit last week from a cornerback who's very good buddies with one of his teammates that just committed to Texas Tech. Selman Bridges. I'm really in the running now, or should I just forget about that? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, just talking with Danny about it. I think you may have your radio on. Just talking with Danny about it, he thinks that Selman ends up at Texas, and he says he feels like he's closer to 6'4". Like he says, he's the tallest cornerback he's ever seen. But for those who don't know, Selman Bridges from Temple, Texas, number 48 ranked prospect in the country, number 6 cornerback, 11 in Texas. But here's the thing of it now. just because you finish second for a guy, finishing second on a guy isn't as bad as it used to be, because you never know what's going to happen with that player down the road. Something may happen at their school. They may, not like it's not what they thought it was, or may not like the depth chart, or find out they don't like their coach or something, and then kind of think back. And as Danny put it, I did have a really good time on that Arkansas visit, and so you never know what might happen down the road. So as Danny says, don't unfollow him on Twitter if you're a coach, even if they don't come to Arkansas. Now, I'm not committing for him, but Danny thinks he's probably would end up at Texas.
Okay, and do we need to be excited? We should recruit one, and I hang up and listen.
Well, I think I like what they're doing in recruiting right now, and I like the areas that they're recruiting. Staff has never spent that much time recruiting Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. They have here lately with Sam Pittman, but these are SEC states, and that's where SEC players come from, is SEC states.
All right, Trey, have a great weekend. We
Bye,
will
guys.
talk with you on Monday. As Trey Biddy of hogsports.com being brought to you by Asher Record Service Company.
One, two, three.
Drive Time Sports on the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaeffer. I'm Randy Rainwater today from Saracens Casino in Pine Bluff. Do want to remind you, get the players card, play get as many opportunities that you can into the hopper for tomorrow night's big drawing of a Ford Mustang, black, red interior. It is gorgeous. And I learned something a few moments ago that someone, good friend of mine, put $1 into the penny. You can tell how frugal he is by only putting $1 into the penny slot machine, but he made $30. So hopefully he'll share the wealth. He'll buy like dinner for my maybe, just maybe, it'll work out that I'll get my my dinner paid for here shortly. Okay. Hip hip hooray. This would have been the perfect Father's Day gift. The only problem is they're not open on Sundays, but you could have enjoyed it the night before on Saturday. And that is the Riverfront Steakhouse has the dinner for two for $60. If you looked around, if you've checked prices lately, this is one magnificent deal because you're going to get the Riverfront salad bar for two, and that includes baby shrimp, iceberg, and romaine lettuce, spinach, pastas, and a variety of dressings. Okay, that's about a $20 value right there each. Then you get the entree. This is the big one. This is the filet, 10 ounce, plus wrist to fingertips. You get the famous double F Frank Fletcher fried shrimp. Folks, you can make a meal out of the fried shrimp, and they do melt in your mouth. And then you get two side items, whether it be the hibachi fried rice with chicken, baked potato, onion rings, mashed potatoes, fresh spinach supreme, French fries, zucchini, wild mushrooms. You get to pick two of those. And Carrie can make the baked potato into a meal. That is something special. It's called the Chef Special at the Riverfront Steakhouse, Wyndham Hotel in North Little Rock. I would recommend that you get a reservation, 371-9000, open tonight and tomorrow night. So make it your dinner stop. That is the Riverfront Steakhouse in North Little Rock. And we are joined now by Kevin Bohannon. He is our baseball guru. And Kevin, have you seen a better pitched game than what we witnessed last night between Wake Forest and LSU?
You know, Randy, one of those things that we talked about last week that we expected to see high-scoring games, and they were going to be close games, but, you know, the 5 of the first 6 games were one-run games, and then started to see a little bit more offense. It was just one of those games that we expected. You got the top 2 collegiate pitchers in the draft, and they went after each other. Skeens allowed 2 hits, 9 strikeouts. Louder only allowed 3 hits, and just what a game. And you heard in the post-game press conference that Jay Johnson said, if you're the best in America, you come to LSU. And he looked down at the 3 transfers that he had, and Skeens and Tommy White being one of them. And it's just that's what they're trying to build right now, and he's kind of ahead of the curve when among other coaches in his profession.
Was Skeens that good at Air Force?
I think he
never
was.
heard of him until he got at LSU.
Yeah, the fact he did really well for Team USA last summer as a pitcher, and he was a 2-way guy at Air Force, so that takes a lot out of you when you're doing that every day, when you're going and getting ready for 2 positions. And he kind of came up as a catcher too, so they got him to LSU and said, look, we just want you to pitch. Just focus on that. And it untapped some potential that was in there. And it's coming into the season on MLB draft boards and prospect lists, he was anywhere from 15 to 10. Now he's in the top 3. And the only reason he's not number 1 is probably because his teammate Dylan Cruz is in the draft this year. So He's been compared as a can't miss prospect to Steven Strasburg, who came out 13 years ago. So, and I think it's there. He's got the build, 6'6", 240, fastball can get up to 102, slider. It's a complete package.
Tommy Tanks obviously ends up with the walk-off home run. I was beginning to believe that this was going to go 19, 20 innings, Kevin, the pitching was so dominant. Even when Skeens and Louder left the game, the relief came in and was equally as impressive. And I guess if you hit a ball 450 feet, that's what it takes to get one out to left field with the wind blowing in. But he got all of it. And now you got the matchup that probably most expected in the very outset, and that was I had Wake Forest to win it, and they came close, but they're not in the championship series. Now down to Florida and LSU.
Yeah, and unlike college football, unlike college basketball, college baseball goes right into their championship series. LSU got a day off and Florida got 2 off. So they start the championship series tomorrow. The advantage goes to Florida right now because they've played less games. They've played 2 less games right now, and that helps their pitching rotation. Florida's 3-0 in the College World Series. LSU's 4-1. So there's been a similar situation. People think back to 2018. Arkansas went through their regional and through their side of the bracket 3-0. Oregon State had to win an extra game. So this is advantage Florida if they can come out and pitch. Brandon Sproats, Jack Caglianone, and then Hurston Waldrop, who has been lights out in 31 innings during the postseason in the college or in the NCAA tournament. He's got an ERA under 1, top 15, top 20 draft pick. So, but the offense, and they were interviewing Jay Johnson the other night during the Wake Forest game, and during the first time they played the other night in the final to force the if game, and the wind was blowing straight in, and he said that 2 of the strongest hitters in college baseball hit the baseball and they just didn't get out of here. So we've got to change our approach and change the way we do things. So if the wind's blowing in, it's going to be advantage Florida. But if the wind's blowing out, look out. It could be anybody's ball game.
I think the over-under on the runs is like 10.5. I think, Kevin, the way the pitching has been so far, I think I'd go under.
I agree with that, especially right now. Coming in, what can LSU's bullpen, and that was their mid-season slump, so to speak, and it wasn't a huge slump. Yeah, they dropped a few games that they shouldn't have, but that's when they started falling apart. So during this first game, you won't have Skeens and you won't have Thatcher Hurd because Hurd came in last night through 3 innings on the back end. He's their jack of all trades that can come in and shut down a game, and he did with Wake Forest last night. You know, you talk about Skeens and what he did, but what Hurd did over 3 innings, but he only threw 47 pitches, so he may be available for game 2. He only gave up 1 hit, so one strikeout, 1 walk. So he may be available. They have to piece it all together from their bullpen, and that's what they did to beat Wake Forest. So believe in the Coach Johnsons, Coach Jay Johnson and Coach Wes Johnson. They have a plan, and I saw an article and I saw the interview with Coach Johnson, Wes Johnson. He said he wrote out on the board after they lost to Wake Forest who was going to start which game, and they listed all 9 pitchers, and then they started drawing lines, and then they put Skeens and Hurd on last night's game. Well, everything's worked out the way they've wanted it to so far. So if they could get 2 more wins, it'll be one for the record books. And at the beginning of the season, they were preseason number 1. So, but the thing about it is, think about this, Randy. Wake Forest came in as the overall number 1 seed. We still have not had an overall number 1 seed win the College World Series since 1999.
Isn't that amazing? 24 years. And
Yep.
Wake Forest had all the advantage because LSU had to beat them twice. Yeah. but they didn't
Yeah.
score in the last 19 innings against LSU. Isn't that
Yeah,
amazing?
and I hate to bring this up to Randy because it's a bad omen, but it kind of made me think of 2004 with the Red Sox and the Yankees, and that
Oh,
game four, when Kevin Millar said, "Don't let us win tonight because then they get Pedro, then they get Schilling, and then game 7, anything could happen." Wake
Yeah.
Forest let LSU win on
Yeah.
Wednesday night, and then they got Skeens. So that's the way it worked out.
Yeah.
so if you are, I guess you can say, looking into your crystal ball, is it even in your mind, Kevin, based upon how he is regarded towards the MLB draft? And I'm talking about Skeens. Do you think they would bring him back on Monday at the earliest, which would not even be 4 days rest?
Yeah, that would be on 3 days rest. That's going to be stretching it a little bit. That's going to be a thing that's up to him, and I bet that's what they'll ask him because he threw 120 pitches last night.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and that's just it's tricky. I could see maybe hey, if you want to come back in on the backside, be the starter, 50 pitches, we'll cap you at that. But yeah, they don't want to because that's a $7.5 $8 million paycheck that's about to come due in about a month or about 3 weeks now.
Well, you think about just the body itself, how
Yeah.
sore both legs, shoulders, arms, all that between Skeens throwing 120 pitches. He might just start feeling like a human being by Saturday or maybe even Sunday. So that's another part of it you have to take in consideration. Let's talk with Navy Mike. Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
And Mr. Bohannon,
Yeah.
you know, Randy. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, Mr. Bohannon, that game was a banger last night. I mean, you don't get better than that. And I picked LSU. I picked LSU in Florida. Before the World Series started. But Wake Forest. I don't know how many guys they got coming back, but you got to think those guys have a legit shot to. I know Louder is going to get drafted in the top 10, but those guys have the kind of talent to make that kind of run again. Pretty recently, pretty soon.
No
I agree.
argument there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
Hey, yeah, I got a couple of things for you. Can I hang on?
Yeah, hang on, Mike. Hang on. All right, Rick Schaeffer, Kevin Bohannon. Not quite around the horn, but we're getting close to it. I'm Randy Rainwater. Drive Time Sports will continue. Drive Time Sports in the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaeffer, Kevin Bohannon. I'm Randy Rainwater. More choices. And if you're a dreamer, you've got an idea in mind that you want it your way, so to speak, then that's why you should go see Robert Irwin Jewelers. It's the number one place to buy diamond engagement rings. You've got more choices. One of the largest collection of natural diamonds. And I have had a chance to look at the lab-grown diamonds, and I'm going to tell you, folks, it looks as good, if not better, than the so-called natural diamonds. And that gives you more choices. And, again, have it your way. If you want a designer type of an engagement ring, if you can draw it, if you can design it, Robert Irwin Jewelers can make it. And you can ask her now and pay later with great financing options like 24-month deferred interest or take up to 60 months to pay at a low APR. 2 locations in the area. That's McCain Mall in North Little Rock, and the new location that is the Pleasant Ridge Town Center in Little Rock next to the Fresh Market. Bigger, brighter diamonds, better prices. Robert Irwin Jewelers. Or online at rijewelers.com. And I did mention the fact that you do need to come down to Saracen, play, get your player's card. You got a chance to win that gorgeous. Now, Kevin is a Mustang driving man, but he doesn't have what's out there in the lobby. So I'm expecting Kevin to be down here at Saracen playing for that black Mach Mustang 5.0. And on top of that, it's black with red interior. Oh, Kevin, you would love it. You would simply love it. And you got as good a chance as anybody to win it, but you got to come play.
That's right. We were down there 2 weeks ago, and we were down there on Friday night and got to eat at the Red Oak, which was just phenomenal. If you ever want a steak, go to the Red Oak Steakhouse. It's just great. Thanks to Neil and everybody over there. Wait staff, everything's top-notch, 5-star across the board. But Amber and I played for a little bit, and I showed her. I said, hey, we got to come back down here in 2 weeks so we can get that Mustang. And she said, why can't we just take it now? So, yeah, I was like, well, we got to get in the drawing just like everybody else. But, we had our player's card, played some slots, and we're definitely in the drawing tonight. So maybe we'll get another one. We've already had one, so let's go get another Mustang.
It is simply gorgeous. Now, I don't know, were you paying attention just a moment ago? Carlton kind of let a little teaser out of the basket.
Yeah, it's a convertible
season. Summer. Yeah, summer.
Convertible summer.
July and August, he said, convertibles. So in my mind, how about the 450 SL convertible? Mercedes 450 SL. What is a Beamer? That wouldn't be a bad. Does Lexus make a convertible?
They used to. I don't know if they still do.
My mind has been spinning ever since I heard that commercial. So, and Neil, I mean, he walks around. He's got a chain on his wrist attached to his attaché case. Apparently, the combination will let him into the attaché case, which has the next car. So all he's doing is waving that attaché case at me like, I know what it is. But that's okay. That's what makes it fun here at Saracen. All right, let's go back to Navy Mike. Mike, welcome back. Thank you for holding.
Two things real quick is, the guy that mentioned, KJ, if he was considered a Heisman Trophy contender, in the SEC, no, he's not going to be. But for a 3-year starting quarterback who's gotten better every single year, in any other conference, absolutely he would be. but he just happens to play in the toughest conference in America, and that's just the reality, you know. You know, and also, you know, as far as, you know, Nick Smith, he did it cost him money coming back to Arkansas. He was in the middle of the season in Arkansas. Not like he came back; he was enrolled during the season. Back to Arkansas with Danny Gafford. Danny Gafford was a top 26 at the end of his first year, and people didn't have his best interest at heart. Told him you could make yourself lottery picks if you came back for a second year. After he second round. That's millions of dollars. You know, if you're a first round draft pick, you have to go. You got, you know, just do it. And that's all I got, guys. And you guys have a good evening.
I would agree.
All right,
If you know you're a first rounder, you got to go. That's right. But Gafford's done pretty well for himself, so he's not.
Yeah.
He's not filing for unemployment.
Well, but the thing of it is, mock drafts.
Well, that's what they are. It's
Nothing.
mock.
Yeah,
They're mock, yeah.
It's a shot in the dark, so to speak.
Yeah.
Some are really good at it; they get close. But they're. What about Cam Whitworth, the guy from the player from Villanova, who is a projected top 3 to top 5 pick? He fell all the way to what, 22?
He had the Aaron Rodgers treatment.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it is all about the advisors that you have around them and how legitimate they are with their contacts and the kind of information, the kind of feedback that's being given to them, and then being able to decipher that to be honest with the player. You need to go back for another year. NBA says you need to work on this, this, and this. Or the NBA is telling me that you could be a top 10 pick. But there's no guarantee in that. They can tell you one thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. Someone gave Jordan Walsh very legitimate, bona fide information. And he opted to stay in.
Here's the question with Walsh. He's a second rounder. Does he get a guaranteed contract? You know,
it depends on what Boston is willing to negotiate.
Yeah.
If they want him bad enough.
I think he showed well enough in the pre-draft workouts that I think he gets a guaranteed deal, even if it's a two-way deal.
We're still not, Kevin, we're still not 100% sure we totally understand and
I don't either. Yeah.
And know all the ramifications of these two-way deals or two-way contracts.
I know next month in the amateur draft for baseball that 99.7% of the players will start out in the minor leagues. I do know that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Speaking of the upcoming draft, what are you hearing on some of the Arkansas players, Kevin?
Well, Nazon Zanatello is somebody who really shot up draft boards coming into the spring. They had the MLB draft combine in Arizona at the Diamondbacks facility this past week, and just about every top 100 player that is projected or in the MLB pipeline is out there. And Nazon Zanatello, Kendall George had really good showings. George has the Enrique Bradfield speed that we talked about the other day on the show, and he really showed it off out there. And Zanatello, last year he did pretty good, and then the summer came, and he played in the MLB Breakthrough Series, which they have in Florida, and it's a showcase circuit, and he was the MVP of that, and he really showed off the skills, put on a little muscle. He's 6'2", 185, and he's a true 5-tool player. He could come in and start at Arkansas next year at shortstop, in my opinion. And he could probably hit 300 with 6 or 7 home runs with 30 RBIs. I think that's a legitimate stat line for him. He could come in and replicate what Caden Wallace did as a hitter, maybe not the power numbers, but he could be that guy, and he could do really well at shortstop too. So I don't think he makes the campus now. I think he's going to be a top 2-round draft pick. He showed it off this past week. And then some of the pitchers, up in the air. Jackson Wiggins went through 12 hours of interviews the other day. I know he's going to be drafted and he's not going to be back at Arkansas, but look for Adam Hackman, Gabe Geckel, Dylan Questad. We still got some info to uncover on those guys to find out.
All right, Kevin. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Sports here on the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaeffer standing by in Northwest Arkansas. Today from Saracen Casino in Pine Bluff, I'm Randy Rainwater. We are rejoined by Neil Atkinson here from Saracen. And I have been asked by some what does Neil Atkinson do at Saracen?
Well, my official title is Senior Director of Table Games and Sportsbook Operations.
Woo.
So obviously over the last year, I have been a big concentration on Bet Saracen and our entry into the online sports betting market. I already ran the retail sports book. But my career in gaming really started out in table games. I started out as a blackjack dealer, and over the last 23 years, I've worked myself up to the position. Been in the right spot at the right time, working for a casino that in Mississippi, where Mississippi had kind of looked ahead and passed a law a year before the Supreme Court decision that if that decision ever got overturned, they were ready to go. And I was lucky at a property that wanted to get a sports book up running fast. And I had the privilege of being able to do that, actually opened the first sports book on Native American tribal land. That's kind of how I really got into my name in the sports betting industry, and was able to come over to Saracen because I knew they were going to be doing online in the future when I first came. And they basically brought me on to with my table games knowledge and with the sports book knowledge. And here we are 2 years later with the #1 sports book in the state. State numbers came out yesterday. 9th month in a row that we've been the #1 sports book in the state by handle and by win. So especially proud of that, which under my leadership, but this is not a one-man show by any means. I was able to bring some of my friends that I've worked with over the years and put together one heck of a team. And we're starting to get nationally recognized for what we're accomplishing here in Arkansas. And can't be prouder for the guys and the gals that help us do that, just on all sides of it. So that's what I do. I basically do all of the gambling for Saracen Casino except the slot machines. So poker, sportsbook, and table games.
There you go. Okay. All right. I've got another question I'll ask you in a moment, but first let's talk with Savage. Savage, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
Hey, what's going on, guys? You doing all right?
What's up, buddy?
Oh, doing good. Rick and the Saracen rep. We look at the different Neil. Sorry about that. For the draft, excuse me, Randy. Because most homework, they don't want to go to college to go to class. So if you can buy, I don't think it's elite where this is going to lead to, but if they can, to get this team elite, correct?
Yes. Now, and I don't know how far along this is, but there has been floated a concept of, in effect, a minor league per se, not G League, but this would be those high school seniors who would be college freshmen who didn't want to go through what you're talking about, having to go through class and all that other stuff. They would get compensation. I think they were talking $60,000 in this developmental league, if you will. And basically it would be for 1 year. And I'm guessing if you didn't succeed in getting drafted after that first year, then they're not going to take you back into this other league. You'd have to catch on with, someone in the G League then. But this has been floated by so many different people because they know there is such an element out there of those that just simply do not even want to go 1 year to college.
Right. So if you get the college, and as fans, you won't get the top flight athletes to go to your college. So do you see the future of collegiate sports they're going to take the down on this side, correct?
I don't think it's going to be that kind of a tidal wave.
No, I don't think so either. You've got your 5-star players they're still, most of them grow up thinking college basketball is a big deal. And
Right.
let's face it, if you're a 5-star and you go to the G League and you make 70,000, now they can pay you more than that, but that's the going rate. If you're a 5-star, you can probably get a better NIL deal than that. If
Yeah,
money
absolutely.
if money is your issue, yeah, you would hope that fewer and fewer players would make that as 18 and 19-year-olds their issue, because if they're that good, they're going to make plenty of money later.
Yeah, that's I want to see every five. Where the races are, I need to check somewhere else. I don't need to go to class. I guess that's my point. But yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you,
The other
Savage.
thing is, Randy, I think we give discredit to players who say they just don't want to go to class. Going to school becomes, since you're in kindergarten, some people go all the way to preschool. It is such a regular part of your routine that to say that, hey, when you're 18 years old, you don't want to go to school anymore. There are some like that, but I don't know that there are an enormous amount of people like that. I think they still look at college as a big deal. And you would hope that these one and dones would eventually come back and get a degree. I don't know how many of them do, but that would be a good thing to do, because you take, 4 Razorbacks signed yesterday. Will any of them be in the NBA for more than 3 to 5 years? I hope all of them are. But if you're not, what are you going to do? Particularly if you don't have a degree, what are you going to do? You may come back and go to college. You can do that. You can afford it by then. But, you got to have something to feel valuable. You can't just at 25 be sitting there saying, well, my career's over. What do I do now? Really? At 25 or 26 or 28?
Not unless you signed that second contract and you made a boatload of money.
But even there,
And even
what are you
then,
going to do?
even
Fish
then,
the
you
rest of your
still got
life?
to invest it wisely. You can't just,
And do what? Go fishing? Whittle on the porch? Is that what you're going to do for 50 years? No, you got to have something that you feel valuable doing. Everybody does, no matter how much money you
pretty
make.
good to me, though. If I could afford it, sit on the front porch and whittle away and
Oh my gosh,
go fishing now and then, play a little golf.
Yeah.
I don't know. And of course, I can't be in the mind of these athletes with the skill that they have. I know they're looking at the dollar signs, but I just go back to my college experience. I would want to live those years. Unfortunately, it was 6 years instead of 4. I would like to live those years over, and I may have majored in beer a couple of semesters, but I would like to live those years. If I had to live them over and over again, it would be my college years. The college experience to me is just something that there's only one way to get, is to go to a college and go to a university. There's just so much more than just the sport that you play. I mean, it's just everything involved in that. And even in the off season a lot of them have work in the community and outreach and things of that nature, which make a real well-rounded human being. And that's something that they may not get if they don't go through the college. But that's a personal decision that athlete has to make at the time. And, walking in their shoes is a different journey than maybe you and me go through. So that's the way I look at it. I just hope it doesn't hurt college sports, because college sports is just so dear to my heart before I was even in sports betting. So,
well, they will still get the best players that are wanting to go to college. Maybe they're 4 stars, maybe they're 3 stars, but it'll still be competitive and they'll still be good. They're still going to have that. But, again, every human being, I think God has put that in our nature. You have to do something with purpose. And these guys that think, well, I'm going to make all this money when I'm 30, I don't have to do anything. Well, what kind of a life is that? Really?
Well, okay. You are Patrick Mahomes, and they've given you a generational deal of $280 million that's guaranteed.
Right.
Okay. There's no mandate once his playing days are over in the National Football League that he has to do anything meaningful from that point forward. I mean,
but I'll bet he will, because he's a driven athlete. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at Michael Jordan.
Just like he's
got into NBA ownership. Look at Magic Johnson. Yeah. They're into ownership. You got to do something, because you're driven as an athlete to be competitive. So
Well, that's like Mahomes. Didn't he own a piece of the Kansas City Royals?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. Yeah. But now the one guy
So-
that did it, Johnny Ray, who was the second baseman for the Razorbacks on their 79 team that finished second in the country. He ended up playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Anaheim Angels, because that's what they were then. And then he played in Japan for a while. I think he must have saved every dollar he ever earned. Because what he did, he was from Shoto, Oklahoma. He bought a house in Shoto, Oklahoma. He went back to Shoto, Oklahoma, and he took care. He raised his kids. He took them to school every day. He fished. He did all that kind of stuff. And I think he has used that investment, and that's what he does. He's one of the very few I've heard of that do that and never work again.
I don't think Kevin McReynolds ever worked.
No, but
After
he was on the
retired
game
from
and
Major League Baseball.
he wasn't he on the Arkansas Game and Fishing Commission, and he does love to hunt and fish and all that kind of
Sure.
stuff. He has
Yeah.
things that he loves to do.
Golfer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good golfer.
He doesn't whittle on the porch.
I don't think he does. Don't know that for a fact. Neil, you mentioned something the other day while we were visiting about a site that recognized what Saracen was doing in regards to the collegiate market.
Yeah, it was really on Twitter. It's one of the gambling influencers on Twitter, one of the ones that does the nationwide coverage. And I think it was one of them was Matt Grissom, but they called us out on. They'll call us out if they do something they don't like, but they also are very fair at call us out when they do the things that we do like. And luckily they call us out for things they like more than they don't like. But we got recognized for the prop action that we had on the College World Series. Now, granted, some states do regulate and do not allow prop action on college players, for better or worse. You can argue both sides, but Arkansas do, and I think the majority of states do allow prop betting. I think there's 33 states now where it's legal, operational in 28. But the types of props that we were doing and offering on the College World Series, even though Arkansas was already out of the series at the time, we continued that because it is the postseason, it is important, and they were just recognizing that we were offering that to the betting public. And that's what we've done all season with the baseball. So I looked it up today. College baseball is not our number one sport. But if you look at the season as a whole, 37% of all college baseball bets we have taken this year have been on the postseason.
Wow.
So, of course, we're heavily concentrated on Arkansas, and Arkansas is, of course, our number one bet baseball team. I mean, we cover Central Arkansas and UALR are on the feed also on those games. But to see that in the postseason when your marquee team is out and to see that continue just shows you how dialed in this state is to college athletics. And a lot of the College World Series games individually on their own has been bet on those games than have on regular Major League Baseball games. Maybe not the Yankees or the Houston Astros, but it has been the top baseball game several days all throughout the series. And even with Arkansas out of it, which if Arkansas was in it, I'd be hurting right now because Arkansas bettors put it all on Arkansas. I can tell you that when they play.
Okay, we talked. Oh, well, let's do this. We got a caller waiting. Let's talk to David. David, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
Hey, guys. Randy, Rick, and was concerned and going straight to or G League or what, the since when, Rick? The 50s, 40s,
60s,
and
60s, yeah.
and as good as can be, and they're drawing. And football, they have a way of humbling you real quick. And can do what he's state. And so, if you would just call baseball.
Thank you, David.
In fact, I was watching MLB Network earlier today, and they were showing College World Series, 2 SEC schools, and Harold Reynolds was on there. He loves college baseball, and he's also big on the draft. And they showed the players from LSU and Florida who figured in the draft this year. LSU figures to go 1 and 2, and Florida has an outfielder that's expected to go 3. So there are guys that went to college baseball. And those are probably going to be the first 3 guys drafted. Florida had another player that projects as number 10, and the pitcher that LSU is pitching tomorrow projects at number 89, which is around in the 3rd round. But nonetheless, I think that baseball players are seeing college as a major advantage to get to the major leagues faster. And man, you travel well, you're taken well care of. You get all these things, all these perks. Whereas if you're in Class A, man, you're on a bus, you're not making much money, and you're eating at McDonald's every meal. And not to despair McDonald's, but if that's all you're eating, whereas in college baseball, they treat you very, very well. So I think a lot of players are seeing that. Now, I was wondering when we were talking about the G League as opposed to going to college basketball for a year, what kind of crowds do they draw for the G League games? I'll bet they don't fill the arenas, and you think about the adrenaline rush for playing in front of anywhere from 15 to 19,000 fans. That's got to be worth something because you just don't get that in the G League. I would expect they'd be lucky to have 1,000 people watching their games. Now that's my guess, but a lot of people don't even know where the G League teams are. They don't care about them. It doesn't have the same intrigue or history that minor league baseball does. So I got to think if you go straight to the G League, after a little while, you're thinking, did I make a mistake? I'm just traveling around and playing in front of 500 people every night.
I read a story on the Ignite, G League Ignite. This is the one Ron Holland signed with.
Yeah, right.
And it's based out of Las Vegas, which they say is another lure for Major League Baseball in going into Vegas, because you got the Raiders, you got the G League Ignite, you got the hockey. Anyway, they said they are playing in an arena that holds about 8,000. And apparently they have sellouts every night now.
Really? G League?
That is well, when you're talking to Ignite, though, Rick, it's like the all-stars of the G League, because they are getting the cream of the cream. And in fact, the G League Ignite had the number 3 and 5 player last night drafted, had another first-round draft pick. I think 3 in the first round last night played for the G League Ignite.
Only 2 of the first 7, including Anthony Black, played college basketball.
Okay.
Last year. Only 2 of the top 7 played college basketball last year. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
in that sense, then who knows? Maybe we should be worried.
Well, not everyone's going to get a Ron Holland type contract.
No.
I mean, he was considered the number 1 player, and likewise, he turned that into money. All right, Neil. Tonight, you'll be expecting a text from me with different props for tomorrow's opening game between
usually about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I sit down with all of my papers. I have them all spread out, and I'm looking at right now at the most current, up-to-date statistics for LSU. And I said we would talk about Dylan Cruz, and I not only look at what it is from a composite standpoint for the season, but then I go back and I have all of the different box scores of the games that LSU has played so far in the College World Series. Dylan Cruz has been the toughest one, game in, game out, to set any kind of props for. This is, again, college baseball. He's currently batting 423. 423. Not bad. And he's been at the plate 246 at bats, 104 hits, which is pretty amazing. But then I look at his home run numbers. He's at 18. Ooh, is he due for one? Is he going to get one tomorrow? But the wind's blowing in from left field, which makes it tough. He's a right-handed batter.
Yeah.
But then he hit one the other night. He went opposite field, went out in right field. So when we come back from the break, I'll let you help me do Dylan Cruz. We'll try to figure him out. He has scored 94 runs. He's played in 68 games. So if you went 68 times 2, that's 136. He's almost averaging over a hit and a half every game.
I think we may have our line. And
Drive Time Sports in the Buzz Radio Network. Rick Schaeffer, Neil Atkinson by way of Saracen. I'm Randy Rainwater. Thanks for being with us today. Love to see you come on down to Pine Bluff. Make sure you get your player's card, get your name in the old basket for a chance to win a gorgeous Ford Mustang. As Arkansas's community bank, First Security helps people make life better for themselves and for other Arkansans. They focus on helping make our communities stronger. Every dollar that stays in the community helps the community through things like new homes and businesses, so other people can have better lives. If you want your banking dollars to do more good, check out First Security at fsbank.com today. That's First Security Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender, only in Arkansas. That's First Security Bank. All right, right before the break, Neil, we were talking about setting up a prop for Dylan Cruz. So I gave you just a couple of the numbers. 423 batting average, 68 games he's played. He has had 104 hits, 18 home runs, which is second behind Tommy Tanks, or better known as Tommy White. 16 doubles, that doesn't matter. I can't use that one. 69 RBIs in 68 games.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty interesting there. So let's start. I usually one of the props I generally use is hits. So let's say he's played 68 games, 104 hits. I think over 1.5 hits tomorrow.
That's amicable to price. I can price that one.
Okay. And he scored 94 runs, which is a bunch of runs. But he also has 69 RBIs in 68 games. So the second part of that, oh my goodness, I just now noticed, what do you have around your neck?
Oh, yeah, I know. I may have lost a bet. You know, being the top bookmaker in the state of Arkansas, I got to pay my bets when I lose them, don't I? Unfortunately, my number one isn't a big LSU fan. And unfortunately, Tennessee came up at LSU not once but twice recently in the College World Series. And he's not wearing orange today, but I'm wearing purple in LSU. I'm embarrassed. I've been queasy stomach all day long, but yeah, man's got to pay his bets, and
Oh my
the
God!
staff at the casino and the other managers and even the dealers have been looking at me, and I have been clowned on today because wearing LSU in Arkansas territory is not a fun day. And somebody walked up to me and goes, "Neil, you had to have lost a bet to be wearing that mess today." And yeah, I did.
Golly!
I even suckered him into the run line on the first game, and that did no good. I tried to even my odds on that one because I knew he was pitching in that first game. And yeah, I'm wearing purple today, and the day's almost over with. So
I think I would burn or donate. Take your pick.
Well, here's the good thing. I was going to have to wear an LSU tie, but I'm a big guy. And I said, well, I can't wear a necktie if I don't have a neck. So I got out of wearing a tie on this hot summer day and wearing a LSU lanyard and purple shirt and purple socks and all that other stuff. So, but anyway,
wow,
gotta have some fun. Wait till football season.
Well, you threw me off there. I mean, I was honing in on RBIs and RBIs and this runs, and next thing I looked up and I'm thought, what is that around his neck? Okay. All right. I like over. I wish I had my numbers.
Now we can give better odds if you go over 1.5. If you go 0.5, it's going to make the payout not as much because.
All right, 94 runs is a bunch. Let's go over 1.5 runs.
I can price that one too. That will be a bigger payout once we combine them together.
Okay. All right. I want to stop there because I need more information before I keep going down the line, so to speak. But wow.
How about I do this? Do them both. We'll price one of them at 1.5, and we'll price them both at 0.5. If you think it's going to be a pitcher's duel tomorrow, don't know. I mean, well, I can price them both ways if you want to.
Rick, do we know is Shores? Is he going tomorrow for LSU? Do we have an idea who is pitching tomorrow for either Florida and LSU?
LSU have a pitcher named France, and like he's the
France.
89th. Yeah, Ty France, or is he a position player? I don't know.
Okay, Skeens, Floyd, Shores, Edwards, Aachen, Hansen pitched the other night. Boy, did he did a magnificent job. Guidry, Herring, Cooper, Money, Hurd.
Then he must be a position player that's going to go in the draft. So I don't know who's going to pitch for him.
Okay. All right, Neil. I'm gonna hold off on giving you some other ones till I get better information in my hands.
Well, it's great because now the listeners know how those are put together, and you give us the players and the stats based on their recent history, who they're doing, and then you give it to me, and we run it through our modeling and our probability modeling, and then that's how we price it and assign how much the payout's going to be.
Okay.
So that's what we do. And every now and then we'll get one from you, and the payout's not going to be enough to be attractive to the bettors. So sometimes we will move the number up so we can price it so it has better payouts. You have to make that decision whether or not that you want to bet that prop. Now, remember, on college props, on the ones that we create on college, we like to do positive props, that they'll go over something, that they'll achieve something. We don't like doing the props that they're not going to do something in college sports. That just makes it easier and better for the game.
My favorite prop was Brady Slavens. That man made some folks a lot of money.
Usually on a home run,
season.
and he would knock the prop down in one swing of the bat sometimes, and it would hit, and you would text me, well, how much did that cost you?
Well, I've got my sheet in front of me, and I make a copy of what's posted on Saracen, and then as the game is progressing, I'm sitting here watching the line score of every player. If they hit, one of the props, then I automatically, Chris Babb is saying, Shores is hurt. Chris, they come to your screen and they just disappear. Ty Floyd, I guess Floyd is the starting pitcher tomorrow.
There you go.
For LSU. Okay. All right, let's talk to Lee. Lee, good afternoon. Welcome to Drive Time Sports.
Randy, I didn't get to get back with you yesterday. I had to go play softball, but you read my previous message about the big boys for LSU and the other big boy. He did it last night for him on the mound. And I took that prop bet with Neil and Saracen. It was over 8.5 Ks and under, I think, 1.5 earned run.
Yep.
I took your spell last night, and it was a good one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Nice strikeout. Were you sweating the ninth strikeout? It came on. They called it a sweeper, and the catcher.
Okay.
I
was sitting there between innings.
Well, his ninth strikeout, Skeens' ninth strikeout, was a sweeping breaking ball that the catcher. He was all the way in the left-handed batter's box. He couldn't block it. Well, the batter, he turns and takes off for first. He makes it safe. And I'm thinking that's still a strikeout. I'm going to make sure they give him that nice strikeout because it ended up being
in the scorebook of the K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was number 9.
That was a fun bet to bet. I mean, 8.5 Ks in college is kind of unheard of, especially when pitch count and everything like that. But I got to watch the first pretty much part of it before I had to go play softball. But still on, Randy and Rick know I'm a big Cardinals guy. They're playing in London tomorrow at noon. I saw, and I think the over-under is like 14. The was like 385. So I don't know how the ball flies in London, England, but I was trying to look on a futures bet on just to see what you guys had it as tomorrow. But Rick, I wanted to say, and I'll get off, guys. I know it's Friday, but we should have got tickets for that, Rick. I should have got you a ticket.
No, it's okay.
Night about it. I got some buddies that are over there that are Cubs fans, and I think Randy Trey's over there.
Wow.
Yeah,
Chad.
he is.
Is he really?
I've been seeing pictures of people like I saw a lady I follow that covers the Cardinals, Katie Wu, on Twitter, Heathrow Airport, and there were people outside the airport, people from UK welcoming the fans like they love baseball over there.
Yeah.
Like all around, we're like, well, I guess the King now, everything. Big Ben, they have this huge like Cubs thing on one side and Cardinals on the other. Like it's a huge, huge deal. And I know in the Bible, Rick, we're not supposed to covet others or anything. I'm not doing that. I was almost on American Airlines a couple months ago, almost ordering my ticket.
Really?
And we're not supposed to live in.
You should have gone.
So, I was gonna do it, but one of my buddies that's there, he's not a real like close buddy, but like I follow him and I reached out to him and he said like they had people. He was wearing his Cubs jersey and like people were in dinner. They bought his dinner one night and then toured him around the city and just asking about American baseball. Like that I love baseball. Like it's a global game. And you don't think about it.
Boston played New York there, and in the first inning of the first game, both teams scored 6 runs. So yes, I think the ballpark is a little bit smaller, and it's definitely built for offense.
Yeah, 325 down the lines and 385 at the center, and it was against the Yankees and Red Sox.
That's right.
So
that's right. They've been.
On this, Rick, you got your rookie sensation, number one prospect besides Ellie De La Cruz. He was on, and you sit him on the last game against the Nationals. Rick, you boys have a good weekend.
Thank you, Lee. Spin that one, Rick.
All right.
We got to step away. We'll come back and wrap it up here from Saracen in just one moment. Hey, Rick, we were taking care of
You
some
disappeared.
very, very important details.
Yeah.
We were
What
we were ordering our prize catfish from Legends, the wonderful food options that we have here at Saracen.
So
How about
I,
that?
I,
Well, do you get
I
up to
love
that?
catfish.
You get when you're there. Do you get up to the minute things like MLB Network just switched to Atlanta and Cincinnati, and Ellie De La Cruz just hit an absolute bomb over the right field wall. So, do you get those
Now we
minute
got the
by minute
Royals
updates
on.
there where you are?
We have the Royals on right now.
Okay, they're 3-3, right? Against Tampa Bay.
It's over my shoulder, so I really can't tell.
And we're at a commercial break. I haven't seen it yet. What we usually do is the game that's on is the one that people have bet the most, or
I bet the most on the Royals and the Rays.
sometimes they do that. They're allowed to bet. Or
Yes,
our customers
of
here and
course.
requested it, and as
Okay.
long as someone hasn't requested something else, but we've got like 100 TV different configurations we can do in here. There's a Major League Baseball game. We have the package. We can get it on for you.
All right, Rick, this is a follow-up. I want to take care of Lee. And he sent this by our Buzz text line. And I was talking about Jordan Walker, comparing him to De La Cruz as top prospects.
Yeah.
He is on a hit streak. Then you set him for 3 off days, basically.
I don't get it.
Like when they sent him down to the minors.
I have no idea. I have no idea what Cardinal management is thinking. The guy had a 12-game hitting streak to start the season. Shortly thereafter, they sent him down. And then he comes back up, and he's got, a 12 or a 13-game hitting streak, and they sit him. I don't know. Wait, the guy's 20 years old. What do you think, he needs a day off? My gosh. I don't know. I have no idea what Cardinal management's thinking. And in that game he's talking about, they got shut out 3-0 by the Nationals.
All right, Rick. Did you have, and I'll ask the same thing to Neil, what was your dream car growing up?
Well,
Near Rick.
I'd have to say, the coolest cars were, you looked at Corvettes and they were really cool. But then when Mustang came out in, was it 65? Those were hot. And that's about that. I started driving about a year later than that. So I would say I thought Mustangs were pretty cool.
Neil?
I'm a geek. My dream car is unattainable.
Unattainable.
A DeLorean. Yeah, a DeLorean from Back to the Future
yes.
was my dream car growing up. Even before it was modified to be a time machine, I would have taken either version, no problem whatsoever. But unfortunately, my dream car is unattainable, or there may be a movie prop here or there. But yeah, that was my dream car growing up. I always wanted that DeLorean.
Well, the Beach Boys sung about my dream car.
57
Little Deuce
Chevy.
Coupe?
No,
GTO.
GTO, yeah.
No, that was
Pontiac
that was Ronnie in
GTO.
that was Ronnie in the Daytona sang that.
It really was?
It really
I always
was.
thought it was the Beach Boys.
No,
Oh, well.
Ronnie in the Daytona's little GTO.
That was my car and my dream car.
Huh.
And red. And it had to have chrome reverse wheels and red line tires. Remember the red line tires?
I don't think I do.
Okay. All right. Well, you can tell how old I am then.
I don't remember red line tires either.
Red line tires. Yeah.
Huh.
Instead of the white stripe that went around the tire, it was red.
Yeah, really.
So that's
I don't
why it was
remember
called
that.
Red line tires.
Yuck.
Well, Saracen has I guess, is that a 23
Oh, yeah.
Mustang? Okay.
Yeah, it's a 23. 24 is not out yet.
Okay, 24 is not out yet.
That's soon, very soon, I think.
I start to say a lot of times the new models have already hit the ground in some cases. Anyway, here at Saracen, you got to come in, get your player's card, use it either as a check-in method to make sure that the almighty computer knows that you are here. And but the more you play, the more chances you get to win. And so someone is going to walk out with a set of keys in their hands. I would, what would be miserable, Neil, is to win that tomorrow night, and I can't drive it home tomorrow night. I have to come back the next day to get it. I got to go home and dream about that car the entire night. Or can you take it home the same?
If you want to take it home that night, we can make that happen. Most people like to, sleep on it. We do offer a cash option on them. And sometimes people like to take a day to think about which way that they want to go.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you do have a cash option on it. Right now with the car market the way it is, I would take the car and sell it myself. But anyway,
right.
Carlton could kill me for saying that. But anyway, hey, we give away.
Say it, Carlton.
No, we give away the car because we want to see somebody in that car,
absolutely,
driving off with it that night if they want to, or the next day. We'll make arrangements for that. But
has anyone taken a cash option?
A few people do take the cash option. Just depends on what their situation is. So a few people will take the cash option, which is perfectly fine.
Sure.
So they will do that. So. But also remember, you're earning entries all month this month. They're already in the bucket. The day you've got to activate those entries is tomorrow night after 8:00, because we only want to, if we called every name that was in the bucket, we'd be here for a while trying to give it away. So that tells us that you've been here within the last 2 hours, and that way when we draw the name, same thing for the free play drawings that we have leading up to that. But it is not too late to get your entries in. We have had somebody come in and get a card shortly before the drawing, have one entry in the bucket, and they won the car. That's like winning the lottery, and it is with that many drawings and tickets in there. But it can happen, and it has happened.
Okay, let's say on an average, how many people at 10:00 are in this building waiting to hear their name called? What would you take a guess?
It's over 5,000.
Oh my gosh.
And I forget what the fire code is here. We have to monitor the number of people that are in the building during these drawings because, you can only let so many people in here. It is, for the Stingray, it was standing room only in here. We broke a record for, I don't know if we broke a record, but it was really, really close to how many people were in the building that night. And it's a beautiful sight to see because basically every slot machine is being played. Every seat at the table games are full. The poker room is full. The high limit slot room is full. People are walking around. They're in a good mood, anticipation of their name possibly being called for either free play and ultimately, hopefully, for that car.
That is awesome. All right, I've got a question for you from Tori. This by way of our Asher Wrecker Service Company live fan feedback. Why will casinos not allow other services such as FanDuel and DraftKings take wagers even though it's legal? I don't understand why the casinos have so much power and dictation regarding this.
We're not the ones that are dictating that. There is a skin available for the other ones to come in. Each casino can have two sports books, two branded sports books. Amendment 100 is what gave us casinos and what gave us sports betting in the state of Arkansas. That was given to the casinos. The casinos, two of them have been here for a long time, Southland and Oaklawn. And then we came after Amendment 100. And all three casino properties in this state have made substantial investment in hotels and building facilities. Once we get the whole hotel built, this is going to be a $550 million project. We employ 900 people right now, 1,200 after the hotel arrives. Southland employs a lot of people. They've got a brand new hotel. That was given to the casinos, and sports betting was given to the casinos. It's not us that are keeping the outside operators out. It's the outside operators' business models. And, you can go to their financials and look at their calls and things of that nature. They're not making very much money like this because they're all focused with the customer acquisition. My argument is that look at Bet Saracen. Because we want to make sure our sports books are the best in the state. That's why you get the localized props. That's why you get softball covers that you get nowhere else. And that's why you get the lines on the Arkansas game 71 days before the game instead of the day of, like you will with the national operator. So we've got to be that much better. And that's what we're doing. And we're showing them how it's done.
We want to say good luck and congratulations to someone tomorrow night who's going to win that Mustang. For Rick Schaeffer, Neil Atkinson, I'm Randy Rainwater. So long, everybody.